Welcome back, Officers of the Republic. Is your Coruscant Underworld Police Chief AP? Oh, I forgot something. Stay there. Wait. Problem solved. It's APGAINS at night, baby. It's just APGAINS, but it's darker, so it's harder to see me. But Xaereth is unfortunately, Xaereth prevails in normal hours, even though it's actually a lot later for him than me. So it should really be night for you and day for me, but my clock doesn't work. How you doing, my friend?
I'm good. And to be clear, like I don't just prevail during like business hours. That's it's a 24-hour gig. So
Are you
yeah.
24/7?
When I yeah,
Or are you
can't think of a
25/8
time.
for 1 extra hour and 1 extra day of prevailing? I can't believe I just said that out loud.
I think that's a little excessive, but you know,
Yeah, you got to have some time for family, right?
yeah,
Mrs. Prevail
apparently.
gets the extra hour, an extra day in the 25/8, and it's probably about enough. I know Nicole doesn't get any hours of the day. She's not as important as Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. All right,
Mrs. X needs to be grateful for what she gets.
because you're a busy man. I mean,
I'm a busy
prevailing is a
man.
full-time thing. I mean, Prevail Corp or whatever it's called, that takes all of your attention. It's a multi-trillion-dollar industry right there.
Yeah, maybe if you're using a different kind of currency, absolutely.
A very specific amount of a very obscure currency. All right, I don't even remember what we're talking about. Oh, right. The changes. The topic of every video for the last year, it seems like. Are they really that bad? I've come to grips. Let me just pop in here. I have my Vader. Your head is blocking his mods, but that's probably a good thing because he's not modded very well. He let me down spectacularly. I threw him in against a Geonosian team. Not a very well modded Geonosian team. Not a very highly relic Geonosian team. And I had an opportunity about 6 debuffs. I was going after the Geonosian Brood Alpha. You know, usually you give him a nice little culling blade, right? I'm sure you've been in this situation at least once. You're at a higher end. You probably use your Vader differently. You probably used him for ray counters. But I'm sure you can imagine my plight. When I threw a nice little culling blade, 6 debuffs. Didn't crit, but that's okay. Usually when he doesn't crit, sometimes he still kills the Brood Alpha. And did 19,000 damage. I was doing like 80k on my basic, and I did a nice little 19,000 damage culling blade. I actually have a clip of it, and I sent it to all of my friends in frustration. He's not as good as he used to be. Is he broken? Is he so terrible? We'll talk about this quickly because there's obviously other stuff to talk about, but is it the end of the road for Vader, or is he still a good character as uses?
Oh, man, I think you said it best when my head was covering your mods. Like maybe look at your mods. When this is over and my head is no longer blocking them. Here's the thing. You're right. Like against Geos, it can be super frustrating to try to against a lot of things. Like Vader is diminished. He absolutely is. There's no question about it. But I don't think it's the end of the road. It's the end of the road for some counters, certainly. But I think. I've killed Geos with I bet. So when did the changes go live? Was it this full week or was it just like part? I
Yeah, it
think
was
it's
like
this full week.
say a week. Well,
Yeah,
round.
but like I I like killing Geos with Vader and um one thing I would suggest try to kill that spy first and then if you
Yeah.
have to if you have to take a long time to kill the rest of them.
Oh,
That's
this will be a
another
kicker.
thing. But
This will be a kicker for you. Guess who was the only remaining Geonosian besides the Brood? It was the Alpha. He was old. There was no health pool. The health pool had been diminished. It had been destroyed.
uh,
He was by himself in 3v3, and I couldn't get the job done. It was very sad. I actually
and
sent the
you
clip to Crumb in protest. Sent
did
directly to the top. That's how mad I was.
and here I'm going into this like problem solving mode. Well, did you do this? Did you do this? Because I'm
Yeah,
always,
my mods are terrible. I take full responsibility. My mods are so bad.
so here's the thing though. I think that he absolutely is diminished. I think that also like people walk into these changes and they assume like oh like I could still at least kill Geos and like Geos are maybe one of the scariest teams to walk in 3v3 for against Vader like if Vader doesn't get the right damage numbers, like he's always been screwed if he can't get the right roll. It just used to be it was easy mode to get that roll. Now, now it's a lot harder to actually get enough damage because you have to one shot a character, and then it's not like oh I'll just like tap it, just like taparoo, like get him there for the Geos. They equalize their health and protection,
Hmm.
and so like think I would recommend for now, like maybe just take Vader off the list for geo counters if you're struggling with that, and he kills all sorts of other stuff too, even in 3v3. So
No, yeah, there's definitely all AP Gains mantras and joking and the AP Gains character aside. He's terribly modded, and I wanted to meme around with my Treya against a Padme, and I should have just used my Treya and then used him against Padme. Or like I had a Jedi Knight Revan and there was no GG, so I had the Padme counter locked down, but I was like feeling extra spunky, extra scientific.
saucy.
I was dropping that Xaereth science emote while I was like, maybe this will still work, and I absolutely set myself up for failure because I'm an idiot. And I think all of you guys watching are idiots as well for not liking the video and checking out Xaereth's channel as well, where he does a sketch or two that almost made me pee my pants this morning. All right, so we talked about Vader. Vader's, it's not the end of the world. You use him a little bit differently. You mod him a little bit differently. Capital Games said, they're quote-unquote monitoring the situation. Who knows if we get a change or not? Probably not. Is there anything else that you've seen, because you play at a lot higher level than I do, so you're going to be privy to a lot more in different situations that arise. Was there a matchup that used to be like a sure thing that you had trouble with in this last week or so, would you say?
In 3v3, so I had just developed. If you just take Vader off the table, I guess, then everything else has been the same. Like I've seen all the GAC histories and everything, so that I've seen, like Jedi Knight Luke is hitting less hard, but it's like being run over by, like, instead of like being run over by a semi truck, you just get run over by, like
an F-350.
Yeah, like it's still gonna kill you, right? Like it's
just not as exaggerated.
Yeah, like it's not as flamboyant and crazy. It's not, it doesn't have quite as deep of a voice, but it still kills you, and he's still great. General Skywalker's like, hey, I stand up so much faster now, Rey. Like I'll kill you now. I'll kill you, and it's a mess. I think in some ways we've all the Vader stuff, all his toys, like it's not just Vader that got nerfed. It's his buddy Watt, his buddy Thrawn, like, but all three of those can go cry in a corner, and it sucks. The CG should be monitoring that situation. It's not fun, but I mean, even with Vader, he's still doing good damage in the Encore raid because they don't have any defense anyways. Their stats are so there's still even a tiny bit of hope for Vader there, but all the other changes, like Watt is a little bit sad, but it's like life goes on, and so far all the different counters that I've seen have just remained the same. So what are your thoughts?
So I'm a little conflicted, especially right now since we're talking about it, because one part of me is like, you use the same counters over and over again. GAC can be quite repetitive. There are definitely teams that people prefer to place on defense and teams that people prefer to save for offense. So oftentimes you come across a situation where you're like, I'll use this to counter this. And, something crazy could happen, but more or less it's going to work, and roughly how many banners, and the skill is kind of in, a few matchups, or can you get that 54 in 3v3 as opposed to that 53, or, 60 as opposed to 59 in 5v5. So part of me is a little bit happy that, like, now we have to, like, I don't know what I'm going to use. Like, do I have to bump up my Treya team a little bit to kind of cover where Vader would take out stronger Geonosian teams, so that even if they're full Relic 7, I still have that squad? And that's obviously a lot lower than what you're going to be having to deal with. But I think at all levels, people are going to need to adjust their counters, their strategies in a way that would be fun. And then the other part of me is like, people invested a lot, especially in the early game. Like, people rushed gas, or they rushed this, or they rushed that, or they put a big emphasis on, like your accounts, big game hunting, where now all of their time and investment is completely gone for seemingly an arbitrary reason, like, we just want Galactic Legends to be unkillable. So I'm a little conflicted there. I know a lot of people are going to be like, APGAINS, that's so stupid. It's not going to be fun. It's going to be annoying. But I honestly think, all the people who do theory crafting videos are going to have the time of their lives. People at the end game are going to be scrambling to figure out, what the next crazy, unbeatable Mando team on defense is and stuff like that. So, yeah, Am I crazy for being this conflicted? Is there a right answer that I'm missing here?
I mean, here's the thing. CG said one thing, and then they kind of did a different thing. So that they did go through with the nerfs that they had said that they were going to go through with, but it didn't necessarily happen the way they said it would. They said that they weren't going to let off meta counters, like they didn't. So like troopers still killing Supreme Leader Kylo sometimes. If you can get that days off early enough, then he doesn't gain all that turn meter, and troopers still kill Sith Eternal. It's not as consistent, and there's probably not going to be a really wonderful counter, but like so there's that. There's the Vader is crying in a corner, but everything else is more or less. I mean, it's not as black and white different as we thought it was going to be, and I think that for me, that's what's causing the conflict. Is I was expecting it to just be like, okay, Galactic Legends play their own game, and then everyone, all the lesser beings play their own game, and the only time those mix and match is if you have to like somehow account for some kind, like you fail against a Galactic Legend, on offense with another Galactic Legend, you have to clean it up with a lesser team, or a weird situation. Maybe you don't have as many Galactic Legends as your opponent does, so you have to multi-shot, but I don't. I don't think that's how it's going to be. And I guess my biggest question right now is, are they going to go in? Are they going to double down and say, hey, we're not okay with General Skywalker killing Rey now. We're not okay with Jedi Knight Luke killing Supreme Leader Kylo. Like we said, we didn't want that, and now you guys need to knock it off. Let's see what they do.
Yeah, I agree. I thought the how they phrased it and how they implemented it were kind of, well, not kind of, they're very inconsistent. I was also expecting you literally will not ever be able to beat this Galactic Legend character without a Galactic Legend, because the tag Galactic Legend that gives them all their buffs and stuff is going to be so broken. My theory is that specifically the characters they nerfed probably disproportionately affected how the Lord Vader was testing, and they needed to just completely shut that down before, because we're recording this, what is it, Monday night, and so tomorrow morning for us we'll get the exclusive interview. I don't think I'm allowed to say who it is until tomorrow, but we're getting the exclusive interview drop for the kit reveal tomorrow, so by the time this is up we'll have the kit already. But I think there was probably something in that kit that really, really was affected by Watt and Vader and Thrawn, more so than, Rey counter. I don't think they really care that much about countering Rey, because, she's over a year old at this point. She's not exactly their bread and butter at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the cash cow. It's not Rey, and hopefully she's not mad I called her a cow. But the thing
she looks like one in game. I swear to God, more like a potato, but yeah.
Indeed, yeah. So, So here's the thing, though. If you look at the comparison of how many relics she requires versus Lord Vader, they don't care. They don't really care about Rey as much anymore.
She has relic 3s as requirements. Can you imagine? Relic 3s. We used to live in a world where a relic 3 was a requirement for Galactic Legends. It seems so long ago, Xaereth.
Well, and they had to steel themselves for how audacious, even requiring fully relic characters. Because for a while they had announced it's not going to require only relics. We're going to have some Year 12s in there, and then they backed off on that before they ever released any of the requirements. But they thought this was pretty audacious to have relic 3 on character. Force everyone to be at least relic 3. So and now that last tier of requirements is ridiculous, but. I mean, whatever. We could complain. I just think that they don't care what happens to Rey. They care about what happens to Lord Vader. Mm-hmm. And I wonder if our Vader got nerfed specifically to slot in with Lord Vader. That's my question.
That's actually a really good point, because if you don't have a super important off meta counter to use him in, you're gonna throw him, because I've always been who on earth is gonna be with Lord Vader? His ultimate gets charged by damage done to his own team, so I guess the Maul makes sense because he damages himself. Vader doesn't damage himself, but he attacks a lot, so he'll get counterattacked a lot. So I guess maybe they really want Vader to go with Lord Vader. Other than those two characters,
block.
Yeah, that's a good point.
you can ability block the whole team. Like you just go merciless massacre and then do basic 5 times, and
Jedi no
you know,
more.
like it. I don't know. That's just speculation, obviously, but you just have to think that he's like jobless. It's like someone engineered it. Right? It's like you contrive to get your friend fired so that your company can hire him or
Swoop
something.
him in. Yeah, it's actually
That's
a
like
really
this
good theory.
needlessly intricate thing.
I actually have not ever thought about that. That's pretty smart. I have thought about who we're gonna use with Vader because, I mean, let's be honest, he never had like, Nev for instance thinks he's gonna have 501st synergy and they're gonna be like Vader's fist or whatever. I thought that would be cool, but I don't think they're gonna do that. So yeah,
Rex is like, he's like, you did what? No, thank you. Not
Yeah.
gonna work with you.
because like all those guys weren't there, I guess. Oh, maybe they just add 4 new dark side 501st troopers that just absolutely do nothing. That'd be pretty funny. Clone Sergeant gets a
That would
rework.
be fun.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
make him dark side. That'd be good. That'd be great.
It would make sense how much I hate Clone Sergeant, dude. Farming him up was so awful. I was always under the impression that they were going to change Clone Sergeant to the 212th, make him orange, add a couple of Nate like Waxer Boyle, and then we had like that was going to be the GL Kenobi squad. Because I was like, oh, they got to require Cody. This is going to be the squad for sure. And then they went a completely different direction and got Citizen Tano, Capital Games. What are you guys up to? All right, well, we've talked for 16 minutes, which is the equivalent of 2 whole AP Games videos. Can you imagine that? Doesn't that make you so happy? You are double important of a normal video. How do you feel about that?
Mind boggles.
Yeah,
The mind boggles, my friend.
the mind does frequently boggle. Especially mine. Especially now, the mind does frequently boggle. All right, man. So normally people are like, hey, where can they find you? But I'm going to tell them where they can find you. Xaereth, YouTube, Twitch. Easier to just look at the description where there will be links because links are way faster than typing because typing requires, pressing the keyboard so it lights up because I'm in a dark room because I decided to record this in the darkness because I lack foresight, unlike Grandmaster Yoda. Thank you,
You need
sir.
to frame it. You need to frame it as it's not just that you saving them from typing. It's saving them. You're preserving their hands longer from tendonitis.
Yes.
Like one click.
Because
as
they're
opposed
gonna
to
need-
all the different buttons.
They're going to
Yeah.
need that tendonitis buildup now that Conquest is awfully grindy. I'm working with Capital Games right now. It's a give and it's a take. I'm a secret CG employee. I tell everyone I'm the CEO of Capital Games. I'm working for them behind the scenes. I am a shill. All of you AP Games hater out there were right. I am a shill for Capital Games.
Yeah, man. Good deal. Good for you.
All right, guys. As always, I love you, and I'll see you later.